Welcome investor. When you buy off-plan real estate in Brazil, you get a beautiful image of the apartment that is finished with all the finishes, right? But then when you get the keys in your hand, the actual story varies quite a bit. So today in this video, with a hands-on approach, I'll show you one of the properties in my portfolio that I bought off-plan to give you the step-by-step and the key understanding as a pro when you invest here. So this is one of the properties in my portfolio, a studio apartment here in Brooklin in Sao Paulo. And you'll be thinking right now, I mean, what's that tiny box you're in, yeah? Is it an hotel room? No, it's not. As I specify in the other videos, I mean, here it's all about money coming in and money going out. So the maximum potential of rent extractable per square meter or square foot is usually, by rule, I would say, on average, in the tinier apartment, in the smaller apartments that you get in the cities here in Brazil. So today we are in Brooklin, which is one of the most attractive neighborhoods in São Paulo. I would say price quality, because there are even better, more luxurious neighborhoods, but they come for a much higher price tag. So we always have to keep into account the value for money when we invest, of course, and not just pay for a brand name, right? So here, what's interesting about this neighborhood as well is that here you can see in front of me, 550 meters distance, the new metro line, which is the Gold Line, connecting the Morumbi area, which is over there across the bridge and across the river, the Tietê River. So here it's connecting there from the neighborhood of Morumbi, just going through Brooklyn and other neighborhoods like Campo Belo, going up to the airport. So this is a very new important line that is also adding value and appreciating this building and all the buildings that are nearby at easy reach, okay? Then here, over there, we have a market, a supermarket, and here we have also a pharmacy and some restaurants over the neighborhood, of course. I mean, always keep into account location comes first, of course. Then now I'm gonna walk you through step by step of the setup, a realistic setup of one of the apartments where I'm investing myself. Because it's always to keep into account when you trust someone, you need to see whether these guys putting his money where his mouth is. When you go to a bigger apartments, of course, you get much more space and so on and so forth, but you get less ROI per square meter. So in today's video, we'll check out all the reasoning, all the pro tips for the renovation, so the setup of the apartment that you buy in Brazil off-plan. But let me give you this understanding. I mean, this is one of the videos that I will include in this playlist, in this series, because we'll check out, of course, moving forward in time, how the apartments will become, will get to eventually at the beginning once it's finished, the renovation is finished. So we'll go through step by step, okay? When you get the apartment off-plan, you get basically a concrete box. So there is just concrete on the floor and paint on the walls. And there is this piece was here, just to give you the idea. This was the original, a bit ugly, I would say. So we are gonna substitute this piece for the kitchen. And also the bathroom, okay? So the bathroom, I'm applying a porcelain floor from the brand Eliane. Eliane and Portobello are one of the two best brands of porcelain tiles in Brazil. And when I got the bathroom, it only had this part covered. So not with this floor, with this porcelain tile, like much cheaper one, of course. So the developer just gives you the very basic by law, and you have to make a decision. As for the bathroom, you need to choose. Do I substitute everything? So I break everything, I take it away, and I put porcelain tiles all over it that I like, that I think would maximize the returns on Airbnb or for rentals or liquidity and so on and so forth, depending on the objective that you have as an investor. Or you have two other options. One is I keep what the what the developer leaves on the as finishes, or I can substitute this part, so I can break down what the developer gives me here in this part of the shower, and then here I leave an epoxy paint, waterproof. But of course, when you have this kind of apartments, tiny apartments, if the ventilation is not natural, you are always better off applying porcelain tiles all over the bathroom, so you avoid humidity basically getting stuck on the walls and creating dirt in the bathroom. So this is another super important point of a renovation. In São Paulo especially, they tend to give you apartments that have the balcony that is separated from the living room or the bedroom, okay? So what you can do is to break the wall, integrate, that is the most common choice. Nice. Now, this is the São Paulo soundtrack. I mean, they are building every time, every day, all the time, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So you basically can, here we had the sliding door or glass door that I took out, and I'm basically expanding the wall to integrate the balcony into the living room, into the bedroom. So this is an expensive choice, but then it gives you a much more welcoming environment, and you can get all this space that you can extract out of the tiny apartment, the compact apartment that you invest in. In my case, I've invested in. So the key to implement this is to apply glazing here on the balcony glazing. In Brazil, you have these glass panes, usually laminated 5+5 or 6+6 millimeters. And I cannot touch it because it's gonna fall down. They are making it in these days. And basically, the other key component is the air conditioning. So the air conditioning, the AC unit, is a must-have in São Paulo. Why? Because the temperature here range between 14, 15 degrees Celsius in the winter, to 38 degrees when the summer gets to the hottest peaks. So I decided myself for a Daikin unit. You have many brands, cheaper ones, more expensive ones. I mean, LG, Daikin, and Samsung probably are on the best one here. But I decided for a Daikin unit, which is the best brand on the market, because it's known, of course, to be a more long-lasting machine, requiring much less maintenance than the other brands. And also it's less noisy. I mean, it's more of a silent machine, and then that of course add comforts to the guests, being them short-term or long-term guests. Yeah. So the machine here, the external machines, is going to be installed in a box. Basically, we'll build with metal, aluminum, and glass that is going to be covered with a cabinet, so furniture. Here in Brazil, you have to keep into account that you don't get like in Europe, you go to IKEA and buy the cheap furniture. Like you gotta do the custom millwork here. So the cabinet maker, you get in touch with them through a company or directly yourself, and then they go through all the sizes and the specific measurements with the architect, and they fabricate the custom millwork, the custom furniture for your apartment. So in a renovation or in an apartment setup, I would say that over 60% of the cost or the investment is between two key components, which are the renovation itself, which is called obra civil here in Brazil. So breaking walls, installing all the finishes and all flooring and tiles on the wall and so on and so forth. And also the furniture, so the custom millwork. That's one of the, if not the most expensive component. But the good news is that you can modulate, you can decide how much to invest in the custom millwork. Because, for example, in my case, I'm gonna be covering this part with a wooden panel, okay? And then here there's gonna be the two furniture with the two wardrobes, okay? Tiny, I know, but still we have to optimize the space that we have here. And then also all the custom millwork here for all the furniture here for the kitchen. The kitchen is going to be thought for the two kitchen scenarios that are long-term rentals and short-term rentals. Because, you know, I mean, you never know if when you invest, it's always too good to have an open ending, let's say, an apartment that is open to multiple scenarios. So if you invest less money, of course, and you focus only on a shorter rental thesis, of course that you can invest much less in the furniture, because the guests that are going to stay here are going to stay for 3, 4, 5, 6 days. So they're not going to need so much space, that much of a space to put their stuff while they stay here, right? So in this kitchen, I'm going to apply Portobello Oro Bianco, which is golden white, one of the top tier porcelain tiles here in Brazil, just for here, because otherwise if I put it in all of the apartments, it's going to cost me a fortune, of course. And then to give a luxury effect here, a visual effect in the kitchen when the guest gets right into the door, which of course we have a few seconds to make them think, wow, I mean, this apartment, it's already comfortable at first sight. So then I'm going to put a sofa, a tiny sofa here, with a rotating television here, and the bed, of course, over there. So even here, I'm going to apply many different LED lights. Why? Because lighting is one of the key points into a renovation. So lighting is something that doesn't cost that much money, but on the other side gives you a visual impact. So when you put a lot of good lighting into the listing on Airbnb, the guests are gonna think, okay, oh, that's interesting because it's a modern apartment, it's a clean design, modern and minimalistic and so on. I mean, the tendency here is to really appreciate LED lighting, and of course you need to be careful to one detail. Do not, I would say, never apply lighting which is above 3000 Kelvin. So the idea is 3000 Kelvin as lighting, because it doesn't look like an hospital. It makes the environment look so much comfortable compared to the, you know, those white lights like 5000 Kelvin and so forth that appears to be in a clinic. So that's another important detail. So as for the balcony glazing, you have to always keep it into account into small apartments, especially in São Paulo. Why? Because depending on the configuration, on the floor plan of the apartment, you will either have a lot of space outside, here in this case not that much, but depending on each apartment, each unit, each project, a lot of space outside, a small space outside where just to put here. So in some apartments you just have this space, which is called area technica, so the technical area just to put the air conditioning, which is a good choice, of course, but then you wouldn't have the opportunity to open all of this glass and to enjoy a flexible space. What I mean with a flexible space, because this can be open during the day or the night, and just by sliding the wall of glass, basically. That's it. If you want to expand the balcony, integrate the glazing of the balcony into the bedroom, that's gonna cost you at least 9,000–10,000 reais, okay? So that's always to be kept into account in the renovation, in the setup of the apartments. Sometimes it's worth it, sometimes it's not worth it, depending on each specific project and unit. So other key points are that the majority of the Brazilian investors, they are gonna buy the apartments, of course, but they are not gonna invest that much money into the renovation. So what I'm gonna do here, my strategy, my idea is to invest a bit more in the renovation in the case of this apartment, specifically in my portfolio, to differentiate a bit this apartment for the other competitors, because another important factor is to understand who's your competition, right? I'm gonna show you this. This is the cooktop, so the stove that the induction stove, I'm gonna apply in this in the remaining part of the kitchen. Always keep into account that in these tiny apartments there is not a dedicated gas line, so you don't have gas reaching the kitchen, so you have just electricity, which that's, of course, in my view, it's better because you have one variable less to worry about, and also it's much easier to clean this thing than the traditional gas stove, of course, for the so it's easier for the cleaning team. So, and as for the bathroom, I'm gonna apply a furniture here with LED lights here, and and of course here I'm gonna apply something a bit out of the ordinary, which is usually it's used the silver decoration for the shower. I'm gonna use the gold one, gold metal, painted of gold, of course. And here this is called nicho. So this part is great, and many guests, they appreciate this a lot. So for Brazilians, they love that. So that's a key to include when it has a reasonable cost. And regarding the size of the apartment, we are talking about 25 square meters approximately, which many of you will say, are you crazy? I mean, 25 square meters. But you have to keep into account a cultural factor here in Brazil. For example, I'm from Italy, and in Italy, no one lives, that I know of at least, lives in such a tiny apartment. Maybe in Milan somehow, some abusive stuff. But what do? Is usually they rent 2, 3, 4 people. Also in Ireland where I lived, they rent apartments, shared apartments, because they have an average or low salary and they cannot pay for a big apartment, of course. So they live together with different habits, and these tenants, they end up having so many arguments. But in Brazil, the philosophy is completely different. People here, they love their privacy. They are very clean people, 2 showers per day on average. So they want to have their dedicated space. And they don't care whether they have a tiny apartment, because as long as the location is good, so as long as it's reasonably close to work, to a metro station, to all the point of interest in the city, that's not going to be a problem, the size of the apartment. They want that, their dedicated space, because it's a completely different way of living here. So the rest of the building, it has all the amenities you can dream of. So it has the gym and the pool, 2 pools, one of 25 meters to swim. Well, check out this building when I will do a dedicated video. It has another pool with the views all over the city on the 27th floor. And also it has a pet place where you can walk your dog. And so the amount of time that the guests will dedicate inside the apartment is going to be to cook, even if they don't even get an iFood, so delivery food, or just to sleep. So basically, they don't really need a big space, especially young people, young workers, right? So that's it. I mean, the idea is to give you an overview of how the renovation, the setup of an apartment is done. And then in the next videos, of course, we'll go through the advancement of this apartment to show you step by step how it's moving forward. Next steps here will be to finish all the floors. I mean, the floors is already finished, but then they're gonna install the furniture, which the cabinet maker is fabricating right now. And then, of course, all the accessories, the bed, and so on and so forth. So as many will tell you, Brazil has many Brazils inside of it. So here in São Paulo, it's typical to receive the apartments just with a concrete floor, okay, which is called no contrapiso, okay, when you negotiate and when you understand, when you talk with the realtors. So in Santa Catarina, where I'm buying, for example, right now another apartment, is different. You get the flooring already included, but it's completely different from Panama, from Ecuador, from the States, where you get the building, where you get the apartments turnkey. So you get your kitchen, you get your flooring, you get I mean, it's much of the work is already done when you receive the key. So here is different. Of course, you pay a much lower ticket for it. I mean, here I've invested like 60,000 euros. So I mean, in Madrid or in Milan, you get a garage for 60,000 euros, and you don't get the return you get from an apartment like this one. So for this video, I try to give you a more hands-on approach of about one of my investment, and this is going to be useful for you to understand more into the practice how it works to invest here. And of course, one important detail, if you want to know in practice whether there is a perfect fit between your investor profile and what the market is offering, set up your strategy call today by clicking the link in the description. Keep also into account that we support our customers and our clients through this renovation phase. So it's part of our services, of course, through dedicated partners that operate here on the ground, of course. You have two choices, in fact, when you renovate an apartment, you set it up for rental. Either you do it yourself, so you have to take a plane, go here, coordinate the cabinet maker, coordinate the guided installs, the ceiling, the floors and the porcelain tile, and coordinate the electrician. And I mean, that's going to cost you more in time than your money, of course. Or you can do it with a dedicated specialized company that does the turnkey delivery here. But of course, you have to consider a strategic approach. You have to understand what type of project to implement in the renovation. We'll give it all the support you need. Follow us for more practical and strategic content regarding investing in emerging markets real estate. I'll see you.